Good evening, everyone. Professor Demito here. I've had some questions regarding the paper. The paper is due on Sunday, day 7, and I thought that it would be best to address these questions to the whole group because if one or two of your classmates have questions, then perhaps you all may have the same question. So let's go over the components of the paper and the expectations of the paper. Now, I know this is not the first paper that you've written. However, I have a very specific format that I like students to follow. I have not only is APA format important, but proper grammar, punctuation, and sentence structure is equally as important as the APA format. So you can see the layout of this paper. Now, this is not by any means the best paper I've ever graded. I just chose this one because it's a good representation. It has some good points and bad points to it. All papers start out with a title page, and you can see in the upper left-hand corner, it starts with the word running head with a colon, and then it has overweight and obesity there. Now, then when you look in the main body of the title page, you'll see the title of the paper. The author has chosen to title this paper Overweight and Obesity. Now, the running head typically has key words from the title in it. So, if the words are not in the title, they cannot be in the running head. Now, typically, I would expect the title to give the reader a pretty good understanding of what the content of the paper is going to be. This title is kind of a little weak. I would phrase it overweight and obesity in children in Illinois or something like that, or adolescent overweight and obesity. So you want that title to give the reader a good understanding of what the paper is going to be about. And then the other components of the paper are your name also would go here, the name of the university, the course number, professor, and date. Then you will sign the certification of authorship at the bottom of this page. In doing so, you're stating that you have not plagiarized or used direct quotes without citations. Okay. Now here we have page 2. We don't use abstracts at this level. We have page 2, which is the beginning of our paper. You'll see that the title is at the top and centered. The title is exactly what you have placed as the title on your cover page or your title page, and it is not bold. I find so many times that students will write the word introduction, and that is not appropriate. Yes, the first paragraph of your paper, of any paper, is the introductory paragraph, but it is a known, it's a given, so you never write the word introduction. Now, that first paragraph is going to give the reader a good understanding of what your paper is going to be about and the relevance of your paper. It also includes a purpose statement. So look at this first paragraph, childhood obesity and increased BMI. Now, BMI is an abbreviation, and BMI cannot be used unless it has been spelled out first. So this is an error. It should say increased body mass index, and then BMI is in parentheses, and then from there forward, instead of using the words body mass index, you will use BMI. Is a serious health concern that is affecting many individuals throughout the United States. In 2016, 31% of children aged 10 to 17 were categorized as overweight or obese. The purpose of this paper is to discuss the prevalence of childhood obesity and increased BMI in the state of Illinois while analyzing the disparities between the national overweight and obesity rate and the state overweight and obesity rate. This paper will also explore Illinois state interventions and strategies aimed to address the childhood overweight and obesity rate. This paper will also identify places in the community where children can engage in healthy outdoor play and explore policy changes, strategies, or interventions that encourages healthy and safe physical activity. So, other than using the phrase this paper too many times, because I look at that, you don't want to reuse phrases or words too often. This is a good introduction. It gives the reader an understanding of what the paper is going to state. Now, we have our first heading. And headings should be pieces of the rubric. So look at the rubric. Prevalence of childhood overweight and obesity in the state of Illinois. So this is a piece of the rubric. You write this, and the next paragraph or two are going to specifically be involved in the prevalence of childhood overweight and obesity in the state of Illinois. Now, this heading is bold and large words are capitalized. Now, when you see the word prevalence here, you know there are going to be statistics in here. So, when we say the prevalence in Illinois, I expect to see statistics. Also, remember that this is a graduate level paper. You do not ever use references to the first person. You will not write, I think, my reasoning. So you should not be referencing yourself in any regard. It's just not necessary. Okay. So let's look at the second heading. State of Illinois childhood overweight and obesity rate versus the national rate. This is another piece of the rubric. So if I would make a heading for each area of the rubric, that ensures that you are going to have all of those important pieces covered in your paper. So again, we've got more statistics here. Now, Illinois initiatives to address childhood overweight and obesity. An error here is the word of shouldn't be there. So this next paragraph is going to speak to Illinois initiatives, and you can find these on what you're going to look through websites. Places in the community for children to engage in active play. So the next paragraphs are going to be specific. I expect you to have a well-defined examples. I don't expect vagueness, so be very specific in your writing. Also, I don't want direct quotes in your papers. Graduate level papers should be paraphrased. So you take that writer's words and translate them into your own words and then cite them. I don't like quotes in papers, and in doctorate programs they won't be allowed. The next one, policy changes, strategies and interventions to encourage active play. So the next paragraphs are going to do that in-depth analysis of that. All papers must have a conclusion. That conclusion is going to sum up the content of your paper. Now, you don't ever introduce new material into the conclusion. So this is just basically wrapping up all of the material that you have written in the last few pages in a paragraph. Next, you have your reference page. Now, this is supposed to be down farther. Let me see if I can fix it so you can see. Okay. So this is the reference page. And you can see, I like using APA software like Reference Point or Perla. It's very helpful. However, it's not 100%. So if you're using an APA format program, check your reference page because they don't always format them properly. For example, if you are, this one right here, cdc.gov, this should be spelled out. Centers for Disease Control should be spelled out. And then in parentheses, CDC. Overweight and obesity is the title of the page that this writer went to, and this is in italics. And then you write retrieved from, and then the site goes here. The same with this reference. Now, a piece of, or one of the requirements of this paper is to have pictures. And this writer has put pictures of Fort McHenry in McHenry, Illinois, which is a place where children can go and play. And that's one of the requirements. Whenever you have a requirement in a paper that wants something like a photograph, you have to make an appendix. So the appendix, here you have your references. Your appendix goes after the reference page. You title it Appendix A. And underneath the appendix, there should be a title here that says Fort McHenry. Actually, what's here should be up there. I think that would work out better. So let's cut that and put it up here. Well, that's not working out. But you know what I'm talking about. You've got the gist of it. Now, this Appendix A needs to be referenced in your paper. So let's see. Right here. Another place in McHenry that encourages active and healthy play is a large wooden playground named Fort McHenry. This playground offers children the opportunity to run, climb, swing, slide, balance, and jump. This playground is available free of charge to the community and includes nearby restrooms, vending machines, and a shaded picnic area. Now, the author has written, please see photograph of Fort McHenry found in Appendix A. And you don't have to do that. You can just put in parentheses here, see Appendix A, in parentheses, and that's it. And we'll put a comma between the two parentheses there. So I hope that this gives you some guidance in regard to the development of your paper. And if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out. The paper is due Sunday at midnight. And if you have any questions along the line, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask me. Have a good night.